We all know what's meant by inquiry-based learning in science, but what do we mean by socio-scientific inquiry-based learning? Well, that's what the PARRISE project is all about. And what I'm going to do in this short interview is try and explain what we mean by socio-scientific inquiry-based learning in practice. But the problem is, it's a real mouthful to say, so we're going to call it SSIBL for short. Now, there are 4 components to SSIBL. The first component, of course, is inquiry. The second component is what is socio-scientific issues. The third component is citizenship education. And the fourth component is research, responsibility and innovation, what we call RRI for short. The best way to explain what we mean by SSIBL is to take a particular example. And the example I'm going to take is one that already one of our student teachers has done, which is on smoking and why young people smoke. Because smoking is a problem for all young people around the world, both locally of course, and nationally. So for older children, might start the inquiry with a broad question. Why is it that young people smoke when they know it's harmful? That's the question which propels the inquiry, although teachers may need to work with students to actually focus the question to make it more constructive. The second point is socio-scientific issues. Smoking is a social issue because of the way cigarettes are marketed. The effects of smoking have an impact on health and of course on national and local health services to which we all contribute through paying taxes. They're also a scientific issue because to actually know something about human biology and the respiratory system, for example, will give us some insights into what the kind of problems are health-wise. We also need to know, for example, about mental health and addiction. But they also involve other factors such as risk and probability. For example, not everybody who smokes will necessarily be adversely affected by it or have their health affected. Is the evidence against smoking straightforward? Should people take responsibility for their actions? What might that responsibility involve? Should we restrict people's rights to smoke? And is there a case that smoking can be seen positively? It might, for example, help people in case of stress. It's a controversial issue on different levels. Thirdly, it draws on central concepts in citizenship education. If smoking is known to damage health, then should people have the right to do damage to themselves? And if passive smoking is a health threat to others, do they have the right to prevent people from smoking in public places? Do the rights of the individual trump the rights of the public at large? These are political questions which need to be deliberated openly and publicly, and where people have an obligation to listen carefully to each other in the process of decision making. Fourthly, every scientific and technical product has some kind of social impact. So responsible research and innovation should involve users, in other words the public, and be seen to contribute to personal, social and global well-being. That is what is behind RRI. So in SSIBL, everybody in a class should be able to participate and make their views known in a secure and respectful environment where people listen to each other. This is really what we mean by RRI. These are all aspects that need to be considered in the inquiry. So how should the inquiry be carried out? Well, there are a number of ways, and groups of participants might carry out the research quite differently. And that depends on the question they ask. After research into the effects of smoking, perhaps by asking health experts, as well as looking on the internet, looking through digital media, reading books and specialist journals, students might want to carry out a survey. They might use the results of the survey to publish a poster or leaflets in the school which inform the issue from the perspective of young people. In this case, SSIBL develops into an action plan to raise consciousness of young people about smoking. Finally, there are a number of points to emphasise. SSIBL involves asking a socio-scientific question which can be addressed through research. But suppose young people don't come up with related ideas of their own. Teachers will need to be able to trigger student interest, perhaps using images, which prompt discussion and debate. SSIBL should result in some kind of action which draws on the research. In this case, an information leaflet drawn up by young people for young people. But it might be a play, a piece of drama, for example, a suggested change to curriculum, voluntary work, a change of policy, or a newspaper article or a written report. SSIBL integrates different kinds of knowledge and opens up discussion. This is an important challenge for teachers, but we recognise that it needs practice. SSIBL activities can be built up in stages, what is known in the trade as scaffolding. So you could take a topic at first and concentrate on students being able to ask a focused question. Or you might develop a SSIBL activity where the focus is on group discussion. The PARRISE team will be building up a layer of resources from teacher professional development courses, and we encourage you to draw on them.